Hello, and welcome to How to Write Blogs for Yourself and for Clients, a step-by-step guide to blogging success. I'm Heather Robson, your guide for this program, and in this session we're going to be talking about creating your own coaching programs, your own courses, and more. Let's get started. So the first opportunity that we're going to talk about today is coaching. So with coaching, you invite members of your audience to work with you toward a specific goal. And usually that goal has a lot to do with whatever your niche is with your blog, or perhaps with blogging itself. And with coaching, you do charge a fee for that service. Now, the idea of putting yourself in a coaching position, a position where you are both mentor and teacher, can be a little bit intimidating. It can be a little bit scary, but there are a lot of good reasons to be a coach that go beyond just the financial benefits. When you decide to coach people, you actually enter into one-on-one conversations and one-on-one relationships with them. And this gives you an incredible opportunity to discover new ways to build your blog that will be useful to your audience. By having those one-on-one conversations, those one-on-one interactions, you're going to get insights into your audience that you won't just get from interacting with them on social media or in your comments. Through the act of coaching, you are probably going to come up with innumerable ideas for new blog posts. You'll also come up with ideas for courses that you might offer that can become additional income streams. Becoming a coach is also going to set you up to have case studies that show very specifically on an individual level how your expertise and your knowledge have helped to transform a person's life. You'll get testimonials that go way above and beyond, "I really liked this post," or "I enjoyed your insights here." You'll get detailed feedback from the people that you're coaching about how you helped them. And that's going to build your credibility immensely over the long term. Coaching is also going to make you more confident in what you know and more confident in how to convey what you know. And becoming a coach is going to help you build out your connections. We've talked quite a bit already about the importance of having relationships and nurturing relationships with your audience. By becoming a coach, you're going to take that to the next level. Now, I say coaching here. You could also refer to this as a mastermind group. You could refer to this as a mentorship. You could refer to this as an online training with a one-on-one feedback element. So if the term coaching doesn't feel like a natural fit for you, that's totally okay. Just explore other ways you might describe helping members of your audience in an individual way. So when I talked to Yaro Starik about ways that he has built his income over the years, he's tried lots of different things, many of them with great success. And one of the things he said was, "I do coaching. I think it's a great starting point for anyone who doesn't feel they know their audience well enough, or they don't have the confidence yet to put together a flagship course or create a membership." So for Yaro, becoming a coach, offering a coaching program or a coaching package feels like a natural first step into the field of creating your own products. Over on Smart Blogger, Sonia Thompson says, blogging will boost your coaching biz, but what you may not know is that coaching will boost your blogging efforts as well. So blogging is a great way to attract people to your coaching business if you're already a coach. But if you're not already a coach and you do have a blog, becoming a coach can really help you fill out and flesh out your blog and see what your audience is hungry for. So when it comes to offering a coaching program, you may be thinking, what does that even look like? And you're absolutely right. You do have to figure out what your coaching program will look like. So the first thing to ask yourself is, what problem are you going to help your audience solve? So let's say that your blog is in the alternative health sphere. You might offer a coaching program that's designed to help your clients overcome issues that they're having with energy. And once you know what problem you are working to solve with your audience, you want to define what process you will use. You're going to have people coming to you at point A, in the example that we're using, sluggish, tired, not a lot of energy, not a lot of great focus. And you're going to take them through a process meant to get them to point B, where they do have energy, where they are focused, where they feel sharp, where they wake up in the morning ready to get up and tackle their day, and where they come home from work or finish up whatever they do during the day, and in the evening they still have energy to give so that they can spend time with friends and with family, or doing things that they enjoy doing on their own. The next question to ask is, when somebody goes through your process, what's a reasonable expectation? If you define a typical starting point, what can the average person expect to achieve once they go through your process? What change will they see? And again, you want to look at an average person here, but somebody who actually does go through the steps of your process. And then once you have all that figured out, you want to give your coaching package a name. You don't want to just say Bob's coaching package. You want to say Bob's 12-week coaching program to better energy and focus. That's not a great name, but hopefully it gives you an idea. So as you devise and design your coaching program, you do want to keep two key factors in mind. These are absolutely essential. First, it needs to be something that you have firsthand experience with. The process that you're going to take your clients through should be a process that you have used yourself with success. And second, it needs to be related to your blog, whatever niche or industry you are in, whatever framing you use for your blog needs to tie in closely with the topic of your coaching program. Otherwise, it probably won't be a good fit for your audience. So there are actually a couple of different ways that you can approach coaching. What I've been talking about so far is a results-oriented and time-specific coaching program. So it might last for 8 weeks, it might last for 12 weeks. There is a specific process that you take your clients through, and you're aiming to achieve a specific result. And once you've gone through the program, be it 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months, whatever, you and your client basically part ways. There's a natural ending point. You can also do coaching services, though, that offer ongoing support. So in this case, you may have a process that you take people through, using our energy example again, to help them bring their baseline energy up to a certain level. And then you may do ongoing support where you meet with them once a month to talk about issues that they're continuing to have, new issues that have arisen and how they can handle those, or how to take things to the next level. So what should you plan to earn as a coach? Now, this is going to take a little trial and error to figure out how time intensive being a coach is for you. So you do want to do good tracking of your time so that you know what you're putting into this for each person that you're coaching. Remember, this is one-on-one time that you have with your coaching clients, but it isn't just the one-on-one Zoom calls or phone calls that you do with them. There's also prep time that you put into getting ready for those calls. It's possible as part of your coaching program, you give your clients assignments to do during the week or during the month. And then when they send those to you, you review and give feedback. Often coaches offer a certain amount of accessibility between meetings, meaning that your clients may be able to email you with questions or problems that they're having, and you probably establish how often that is okay to do and how quickly they can expect a response from you. So yes, it's going to take some trial and error and some really diligent tracking on your part to see how much time you do put into a coaching session. But before you start, estimate what you think it will be, how many hours you think you'll put in for a person each month, and then probably add 20 to 50% to that, because you are much more likely to underestimate that time than overestimate it. And then use that to set your monthly package fee. Do not charge less than $45 an hour for your coaching services. And on average, experienced coaches charge around $200 an hour, just to give you an idea of what you should be shooting for. All right, so let's say you've formulated a really good coaching plan, a really good coaching program, and you're confident that it's going to be super useful to your clients. So how do you go about landing those coaching clients? One way to land coaching clients is by doing public speaking. If you live in a sizable town at all, you can actually arrange your own speaking venues through Meetup. And you might speak to the topic that your coaching helps people with, and then collect the contact information of people that attend your speech or your presentation and follow up with them later. You can also research existing venues for public speaking. Those can prove to be really, really good at bringing in contacts who would be a good fit for your coaching services. If public speaking makes you break out in a cold sweat, that's okay. It has that effect on a lot of people. If public speaking isn't your jam, you can still attend industry-related events and generate contacts while you're there. Just strike up conversations with people. Find out what they do, and when they ask what you do, talk a little bit about your coaching services and how you help people. And then if the person you're talking to expresses an interest, get their contact information and follow up with them later. As you meet people, you can offer free discovery calls. This is actually a really smart thing to do with a coaching package because you want to make sure that anybody that you're coaching is somebody that you have good chemistry with. So it's just a good idea to hop on the phone with them for a half hour and just kind of do a getting to know you interview where they can ask you questions and you can ask them questions. You want to find out what change they're trying to achieve, and you especially want to find out what things they have tried before and why those things haven't worked for them. Your discovery call is partly screening process. If you're talking to somebody and you really don't think that they are ready for your services, you want to decline them as a client. I know that seems a little bit harsh, but it's way better to say, this doesn't feel like a good fit to me, than it is to enter into the relationship and have them get a disappointing result. Once you have your coaching package designed and it's on offer, pretty much shout it from the rooftops. Anytime you have a moment where it makes sense to mention it, whether you're talking to somebody in person or on social media, let them know what you do and what you offer and how you can help. Obviously, you'll want to blog about it on your blog. You don't want to turn your blog into a promotional platform, but it's absolutely okay when you're doing something new to write a blog post sharing with your audience about this new thing that you're doing that you're excited about. You can definitely email promotional materials about your coaching program to your list. You can talk about it on social media and in social media groups. You could even do a contest where you hold a lottery where people can sign up to win a free coaching session, and then you do pick a winner. They do get your free coaching package, but everybody else on that list you can then market to afterwards. You can follow up with, maybe offer them a special discount. And that can generate a lot of buzz and also help you identify the people who are interested. So coaching programs are a great option for monetizing your blog, and they are an especially good option for creating your first product. But where a lot of bloggers earn very big money is through online courses and information products. When I asked John Morrow about monetizing a blog, he said, the majority of my income nowadays comes from courses and information products. We make $1 million a year from our products. And by the way, when you look at other big blogs, you'll find the same for the most part. Information products are the biggest. So if you really want to open the door to earning a lot of money through the attention that you have gained from your blog, creating an information product or an online course is something that you should seriously consider doing. And when you think about it, creating your own course is a very natural fit for somebody who has a blog, especially if you've been publishing to that blog for several months or even several years. After you've been publishing to your blog for a time, you have a relationship with your audience. You know what they're interested in. You know what they get excited about. You know the problems that they have that they turn to you to help them solve. And all of these things can inform the structure of your course. Another reason that creating your own course is a really good fit for an online blogger is that you can pull from content you've already created and include that in your course. Now, obviously, you're not just going to grab a bunch of blog posts and slap them together into a course, but some of the information that you have already written is going to be relevant. And you can use that to create an early structure for your course that you then expand on. That means that you are automatically a step ahead when creating a course, and that can really get you over that initial barrier of where do I even begin? So when you set out to create a course, the first thing that you need to define is what exactly are you teaching within the course? When a user works through the course that you're offering, what will they learn how to do by the end of it? Now, it makes sense to create your course around something that you have learned how to do and have done with success. So think about how you did it and break that process down into an outline for your course. Break your own process into small steps, and then go through your blog content and pull out posts that are relevant to each of those steps. Think through the best presentation for each step. Some steps will work better presented in a text format, while others might work better presented as a video. And then once you've done that, it's just a matter of filling in the blanks and expanding where you need to expand to make the course valuable and very, very worthwhile for your audience. Now, I mentioned earlier, you can let your audience be your guide when it comes to figuring out your course topic. Think about your most popular posts. Look for posts that got shared a lot on social media, or that generated a lot of comments, or that when you emailed your audience that a post was now live, you got a lot of click-throughs on. Also think about the most common questions you get from your audience. If you've done a coaching program, think about the pain points that your audience was expressing as they went through that program. And think about the things you've done that have proven to be successful for you as a blogger or regarding your blogging topic. By going through this process, you're probably going to come up with ideas for multiple different courses. And that's great because it means that you can, once you launch one course, start creating your next course. And that can help you develop multiple streams of income from your blog over time. Whether you're developing a coaching program or you're planning on putting together a course, Danny Eine has a bit of advice for you to consider. Before you start anything, you want to look around at the landscape and ask yourself, is there something missing? So think about all the courses that might be offered on your topic, and then consider how you might do them in a better way or in a different way, in a way that works better for your audience. So you might have a different framework that you use, or you might see a bunch of courses that are put out there in a text format and realize a video format would work better, and so you might approach it that way. But think about what your audience may be missing and how you can deliver it in a stronger fashion. And if you can come up with answers to those questions, you're going to have a very powerful coaching program or course on your hands. So thinking about how to frame your course and how to make it stand out from other courses that are available, I found this great quote from Morgan Tim, who works with Teachable, and this quote appeared on Founder. Instead of creating the ultimate guide to gardening, you can create an online course taking your students step by step through growing a salsa garden. Teaching your audience how to grow a salsa garden will solve a specific problem for them. They want salsa, without overwhelming them. So there is a temptation when you're putting together a course to just keep adding things to it because you think, oh, that's going to make it more valuable. It's really a good idea to come up with a narrow focus for your course that is going to solve a very specific problem for your audience, and that's going to be very manageable for them to work through and see a positive result. So once you've picked the topic of your course, your next step is to create an outline to work from as you build your course. So the first thing to do is define the destination. Your audience is at point A and you're going to help them get to point B. So when they get to point B, what are they going to know that they didn't know before? What are they going to be able to do that they didn't know how to do before? Once you understand the destination, you can start to frame in your own mind the key points that your audience needs to learn or the key actions that they need to take in order to complete this journey. And once you have that foundation laid, then you can start to identify the major checkpoints that they'll need to accomplish during your course. You'll also be able to identify the big obstacles. This is really important. This is where a lot of courses fail their students. You may be able to tell your student everything that they need to do to get from point A to point B, but if you don't help them recognize the common things that happen that prevent them from making progress, you aren't going to have as many people work through your program successfully. So once you know the destination, the fundamental skills or knowledge that your audience needs in order to take this journey, the major checkpoints or actions that they'll need to take along the way, and the obstacles that they may encounter and how they can overcome those, you can create a path from A to B, and that essentially will be your course. So once you've created a broad outline, your next step is to fill it in with more detail. And the first thing you want to do as part of that is to break all of those milestones, all of those major checkpoints into single steps. So in order for someone taking your course to go from one checkpoint to the next, what are all the things that they need to accomplish between those two checkpoints? You want to make a list of those and add them to your outline. You want to treat obstacles in the same way. When you imagine the obstacles, and in the last step you created a list of the obstacles, you want to think about the process that you would go through to overcome that obstacle, and you want to include those steps in your outline as well. At this stage, you want to take your broad outline and you want to get really granular, creating a detailed route, step by step by step, for your student to follow in order to achieve the overall aim. And then once you've created all those steps, you want to very carefully review the order and make sure that you have them in the most logical sequence. Once you have that very granular outline, you're going to be able to really start adding meat to your course. And the first way to do that is to review the existing content you already have on your blog that you've already created and find everything that already exists that can help with any of the steps in your course. And then you're basically at this point just going to copy that and paste it into that section of the course. You'll refine it later, but for now you just want to get that information into the right position within your course. At this stage, you also want to decide on the best format for each step. Some steps may be better taught through video, while others may be better relayed through an interview with an expert, and still others are going to benefit best from text or from text combined with images. And then once you've done all that, make a list of what you still need in order to flesh out your course fully, and then create a production schedule to begin producing those materials. So one of the concerns with creating a course is that you go through the whole process of creating this program that you're really, really happy with, and then you discover that it's not quite working for the people working through the program. And that's not good. Creating a course that isn't satisfying the people buying the course, that's not what we want to do. So a smart way to overcome this and to make sure you're creating a course that your followers really want to purchase and work through, and that is going to help them succeed, is to begin by creating just the first lesson or two, and then reach out to your audience. Ask for some volunteers from your most loyal followers, and then ask them to work through those 2 lessons that you've created and give you feedback. What's working, what could be better, what was confusing, what had them excited, where did things seem to slow down? And then once you have that feedback, you can start to ramp up for full production of the course. And then another thing to do as you're creating those first 2 lessons, document the production process that you go through. And by that, I mean as you go through the process of creating the first lesson in your course, have a separate document where you list each step that you go through, and then record the problems that you encounter and how you overcome them. Record mistakes that you make and how you went about fixing them. And just take good notes on what you are doing that you think will help you do the next ones better. By documenting the process, you will smooth things out, particularly if you are working on building this course in addition to, say, doing client work. You may have to step away from the course creation for a week or 2 at a time in order to focus on your clients. By having this documentation available that reminds you of the steps that you go through and the mistakes you want to avoid, you'll be able to swiftly pick up production where you left off, and best of all, you'll be able to avoid any pitfalls, so the process will go more and more smoothly as you go along. And remember, when you're building a course or a program, this is something new to you, so be patient with yourself. Nick Osborne talked about the first time he ever built a course, and he said, "My first time I was trying to build out a course of my own where it was voiceover on PowerPoint. You can ask my wife. There was just endless frustration and cursing and shouting. These learning curves are all hard." So remember, when you're learning something new, people who've done it a bunch of times make it look like it's really easy and effortless. But when you're new to it, it's going to take time and it's going to take practice. There's going to be trial and error and false starts and mistakes, and it will be frustrating, but you will get the hang of it, so stick with it. It'll be worth it. Once you have created your course and you are ready to launch it out there into the world, you do have to take steps to let people know it exists and to market it so that people will buy it. Now, we've been through these steps with a lot of things already, so you are already familiar with all the ways that you might market your course, but consider talking about it in your blog, promote it through your email list, talk about it on social media and direct people back to promotions for it. Give paid advertising a try and see how that works to sell your course. And also consider getting the word out through podcasts and through guest posts. So essentially, all the ways that you might work to build traffic to your blog, you can also use to market your course. And make no mistake, selling a course can be very, very profitable. Sarah Titus talks about her courses, and she says, "My courses where I teach Shopify," meaning she's teaching people how to use Shopify to set up their own e-commerce store online. That course has made her $304,000 just in the first 3 months of offering it. That's not too bad. Now, coaching and creating a course are 2 of the most potentially profitable ways you can monetize your blog, but they certainly are not the only ways. There are a lot of other products that you can create and offer as well. So think about ebooks you can write. Think about creating a subscription aspect to your blog, not necessarily to give people access to your blog posts, but there may be resources that you include on your blog that you ask people to pay a monthly subscription to access. You could offer consulting to businesses planning on using a blog for their own site, or to other people looking to start their own blog, or in a variety of ways to people within the niche that you serve through your blog. You could write and sell reports. You could create tools or templates and sell those. You can book speaking engagements on your topic, which can be very lucrative and a lot of fun. You could also organize and host mastermind groups. So these in some ways are similar to courses, but they have more of a mentoring aspect to them. So usually with mastermind groups, you limit the number of people who can participate so that it becomes manageable. But you'll also charge quite a bit more than you would for a standard course because you're giving them some one-on-one mentoring as part of that mastermind group. So that's another option to consider. Okay, so at this point we have covered many of the different ways that you can make money from your blog, but we're not quite done yet. In our next session, we're going to talk about using your blogging skills and offering those to clients, which is another viable way to use blogging to earn an income. So I will see you again soon.